Hey folks, Dagan here, and welcome to another episode of Guitar Stories. And today's quite a fun one because this right here, this is my first Kramer guitar. And it looks a hell of a lot different now to what it did when I first got it many moons ago. First got her, because her name is Faye. This is my 1987 USA Kramer Pacer Custom II. And it's had an absolutely insane life, as you can see, with all the battle scars and stuff. It's absolutely crazy, but this is probably my most important guitar. Now, if you're watching this video, I assume you're somewhat aware of my deep-seated love and admiration for the brand Kramer. You might have seen my other Guitar Stories video, which is my current #1 Kramer. I've got 9 at the minute, I think, Kramers, but my #1 Pacer, which is a new model. I'll put links everywhere so you can see that. But that guitar's got tons of crazy mods and mad stuff on it. But this is where it first started. 1, my first Kramer, and 2, my first kind of soiree into modifying guitars myself. Like I said, as you can see from all the battle scars and the filled in holes. Faye has had an absolutely insane life, and in this video, I'll be talking you through from start to finish. I honestly can't remember why she's called Faye. Like, it's been so long. I'm not usually one to name my guitars. A couple have nicknames here and there, but this one's always just been literally called Faye. Like, she wasn't called Faye when I got her. I didn't know anyone called Faye. At the time, I wasn't in a relationship or had a very good friend who was called Faye or anything. She's just always been Faye and has been since 2010. So first off, a bit of history. Like I say, back in 2010, it was my first year of studying music at Newcastle College. I was 17 years old and I looked like I'd just walked off the Sunset Strip. I don't know who I thought I was. I've toned down a bit these days, but it's still very much there in my head. But back then I was just absolutely shameless, walking down the street with constant... constant that in my head, and now I'm an adult, I can buy the Motley Crue guitars and have all that kind of fun and stuff, but back then it was just all attitude, hairspray, and cowboy boots and leather pants in bloody college at 17 years old. But I had this amazing lecturer called Andy Smith, and as soon as he took a look at me walking into that room with my hair nearly touching the ceiling, he knew exactly what I was about. And after a little while, the legend that is Andy Smith, with his glorious bald head and his lovely goatee, sat me down and told me that he owned a 1987 proper American Kramer USA Pacer Custom II. And I lost my goddamn mind. It was the closest thing to like Holy Grail I've ever heard in my entire life. No one had a Kramer, not in the northeast of England anyway. It was not a proper 80s Kramer. And I lost my mind even more when he told me that I could buy it. Well, that my parents could buy it for my 18th birthday. I still remember vividly 15 years ago him bringing that. It was a green, I've still got it in the loft, green hard case in and opening it up, and there was a glorious, immaculate black Kramer Pacer Custom II with the serial number F6662. But the 666 part, I thought was like, this is the most perfect, like, I was listening to Shout at the Devil a lot back. I was like, this is the perfect guitar. I've done some absolutely insane things with this guitar over the years, and it's absolutely inspired me to hell and back since day one to actually have a proper American Kramer from '87. Like when Girls, Girls, Girls came out, this guitar was alive when Dr. Feelgood came out and all that kind of stuff. To have a proper American-made Kramer, even though technically all the in the late 80s, the American-made Kramers, no, I'm not talking about the Focuses, like the import models, the USA Kramers you could buy off the shelves. A lot of the necks and bodies were made by ESP in Japan, and then they were sent over to Neptune, New Jersey, and then assembled there. So made in USA, but actually made overseas. There were still USA Kramers getting made, like custom-made ones for Sambora and the like. But yeah, I think this is, judging by the fret inlays and stuff, this is an ESP assembled in the USA, but for me it was the holy grail. So when I got it from Andy in 2010, it was black, but it was originally red when it was new back in 1987, and you can actually still see some of the red paint in the trim cavity back there, like in some of the white primer as well. But it was so sleek when I got it. 3 Seymour Duncan pickups, all MJ wound, the JB in the bridge and the 2 single coils. I do still use the JB, they're in the red, I think the JB's in the red SG right now. Middle single coil is still there, but this is something different, which I'll talk about later. 3 controls, 5-way blade, and it had a little coil tap switch. But being a huge EVH fan, the first thing I wanted to do to this immaculate guitar was modify it, but it terrified me. So the first mod I did was very subtle and didn't really take a lot, and I wish it was still on the guitar. I got some little stickers for the fret inlays of pole dancing stripper girls. The second mods were stuff that's still on the guitar now. I modified the Floyd Rose and all the bits for the Floyd Rose by adding stainless steel, like lock and screws at the back, titanium blocks, a big brass block at the back, titanium lock and screws up top as well, even though I've lost one of them, so it's black. And a little thing actually, about 10 years ago, in 2015, I got it professionally set up, but the guy lost the trem arm for it, the black one, and he just gave me the silver one. And I've used the silver one ever since. And I've got other black trem arms, but I don't like using the black trem arms with this. It has to be silver. For some reason, that's just how it works in my head, and I haven't really played it without the silver one since. It then became my main guitar for the band I was in at the time, a band called Peep Show. And what are the risks go like again? Something like that. We recorded a music video. You can be seen in a music video, which is still online. You probably see it on screen right now. And I actually lent Rusty, the other guitar player, another Kramer I got at the time after this because I loved it so much. I found in 1986 Pacer Custom II. So Rusty's playing my Kramer in that video as well. Toured from Edinburgh to the underworld in Camden and everywhere in between. And there's a massive part of me, even though we've been through so much, I wish it still looked like that. But that little niggling itch to mod didn't leave, especially in my late teenage, early 20s years. I wanted to mod the hell out of this and really make it mine. So the next thing to change were the pickups, not to these. I actually added a Fernandez Sustainer. Like, I love the Sustainiacs these days. My other main Kramer's got a Sustainiac in it and stuff, but you couldn't get Sustainiacs at the time, just Fernandez Sustainers. And that came with the actual driver and the neck pickup and the bridge pickup, a Fernandez branded bridge pickup. It acquired you to drill holes for the little switches, obviously. So I think those two were them. That ended up being something else later. But the worst thing is, what was a small cavity at the back, I had to route out all this up here Like, I'm not going to take it off because it's brutal inside, but got my dad's router in the garage and routed a massive chunk of wood out of my prized possession. Do you want to know a fun little fact? So obviously the backplate didn't fit because there was a big gaping hole right here. And I just used to duct tape it up. I duct tape the hole up because I don't really care or want to make a backplate. In 2016, when I brought this guitar into work to do a video of PMT, just before that, someone came into the guitar shop and left a bag of porno DVDs. Like, there was like 8 of them in this bag. And obviously they were too embarrassed to come back and get them. So they just sat in the kitchen at work for ages, this bag of porn. And when I had the guitar in one day for a video, I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the cover off and stuff, and I cut that from the cover of a porn DVD that someone left in the shop because they were too embarrassed to come back. I can't remember what movie it was, but that's what that is. I did tell you that I'd grown up slightly from the wannabe sleazy hair metal rock star, but obviously not that much. So the Fernandez setup stayed for a little while, but then I massively got into Children of Bodom. And I saw that Alexi Laiho had his own signature EMG pickup with a gain boost circuit, so I was like, yes, I want that in my ultimate Kramer to make the ultimate guitar. I've got the sustainer, I've got this gain boost Alexi Laiho pickup. It's going to be fantastic. Didn't want to take it to a luthier because I was young and stupid and I thought I knew what I was doing. When it came to wiring it up, 2 separate 9-volt batteries, one for the gain boost circuit, the other for the sustainer. I don't know what I'd done, but I fried both the pickup. So the pickup died immediately, and I fried the sustainer circuit. So that no longer worked. 2 things, a lot of money, it broke, and it was all my fault. It's all my fault. I've still got that Alexi pickup in the garage somewhere. I might get it like mounted on the wall, like with a plaque just saying, don't fuck up. So it was back to the Seymour Duncan MJ wound JB in the bridge, but I fancied something different in the neck. And at the time, Paul Gilbert just brought out his album Fuzz Universe, as well as the Ibanez Iceman, this first incarnation with the single coils, as well as the pickups that were in the Iceman by Dimarzio, the Injectors, the Injector single coils. And that's what that is without the cover. And it's been in here since that day, and it's still to this day my favorite single coil pickup. Like, it sounds great with gain, cleans, it's remarkable regardless, but try and find a good high gain. It's just mwah. Also at the time, I realized I never use the middle pickups on Strats. I slam them right down like this is right here. So just neck pickup is essentially a 2 pickup guitar. So I added a 3-way switch, but not a blade switch. It was a big full size like Les Paul toggle switch. So that's what that hole was, I think. I think I made the 3rd hole bigger for that. Oh no, it was in the middle. It was in the middle for some stupid volume tone 3-way switch in the middle. Just so you knock it every time you put the volume down. It was also around this time that Faye suffered her first headstock break, or snap, I should say. It snapped right across the Kramer logo, as you can see from these pictures. I can't remember how it happened, but I vividly remember it happened around the same time that I realized that the binding was extremely flammable. So there's no binding around the end of the beak right here of the headstock, because I was leaning over a desk in a studio, and the tip went right into a candle, and it just started sparking and shooting flames out and stuff, and I was like, oh, it must be the binding. Then I tested it with a lighter, and sure enough, it was the binding. I kind of did the mods in batches. Like, it was the time of repairing the headstock, which I just did myself by gluing it and clamping it the best I could, that the stripper girl inlays came off. And like I say, if anyone knows of any pole dancing stripper girls that look the same as the ones that were on this guitar originally, please send me a link. I want them back. But the reason I took them off is because I scalloped the top 4 frets. Like, scalloped little divots out like Steve Vai and Alexi Laiho. I've done that on my other main Kramer as well, my regular Pacer, but you can really dig in. It just allows you just to grab the note a bit more and kind of shake it around. Like, obviously Yngwie's got it all the way down the neck and stuff, but for the higher frets, I've got big fingers like me. I've fallen out with them. Yeah, Scallop the Frets. So as you're probably realizing, Faye has been through the absolute ringer. She's been to hell and back, but with every mod, every setback, it just kind of drew me closer to the guitar. I knew this guitar inside and out. I knew every piece of grain under the neck pocket, and I knew what was going on with the wiring and everything like that. But things were about to get so much worse. I do regret this. Do I regret it? I do, and I don't regret what happens next, because it's ended up being a fantastic guitar. But what happens next will upset you. I'm just dilly-dallying by trying to noodle to not talk about it. But basically, I snapped the headstock off again. It happened again. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a Matic stop bar tailpiece Kramer with one pickup. I'm going to fill the cavity in for the Floyd Rose with wood, fill the neck pickup and the middle pickup up, have one bridge pickup and a Matic bridge like a Gibson and a stop bar tailpiece. That's what I'm going to do for some reason in my early 20s. I thought that was an absolutely stellar, unique idea. My actual plan, in theory, would work. Like, you fill the holes with, like, uniquely cut blocks of, I don't know what this is made of, alder, I guess? I think, I don't know, there's lots of pieces, though. That would work, but I didn't do that. What I did was I got wood filler, like liquid wood substitute, that comes in a tube, and just squirted it into the, obviously no hardware, squirted it into the empty pickups. I put some tape over the back. I filled it up with the glue stuff, put some tape over the back, and just watched it rise up into the cavity until it was at the top. So it was just liquid wood, and all the cavities were filled with it, besides the bridge pickup and the big hole on the back. Yeah, I thought it would work, and I left it for like a week. And when I came back after a week, I was like, that's dry. That's brilliant. Let's put a Matic bridge and stop bar tailpiece on it. So I got my drill out, not even realizing that the way the angles of this worked, a Matic bridge would not work. It would not fit under there. It wouldn't fit. It would be up here, and the action would be like that high. So I got my drill out, drilled two massive holes, which you can see there, either side of the Floyd Rose. Those are the pilot holes. The bottom one's quite far down, but this one's not very far down for the stop bar tailpiece, because as I got into the dry top layer, the internal essentially liquid center of my trem cavity wasn't dry at all. So it wasn't going to dry. So I thought, yeah, this isn't going to work. Stupid me. So I spent the next week, like, with a heat gun and a fork, picking out all the bits of liquid and non-liquid wood substitute filler from my dream guitar. Oh, then it gets worse. It gets worse from there. So the holes were knackered. It was gross. It was horrible. It was all scratched to bits from all the wood and the fork and stuff. I was like, I want a white Kramer now. I love white guitars. White's my favorite color for a guitar. I was like, I want a white guitar. So I got a sander, the cheapest sander I could buy from like a bargain store, and just went to town on the beautiful black paint of my Kramer. Just enough so would, like, not down to this, nowhere near at all to down to this, just down enough so a paint would stick. Didn't prime it, didn't put any grain filler on, didn't do anything like that. Got, again, probably the cheapest white spray paint I could find, and just sprayed it white. But because I didn't do any of that grain filler stuff, it looked really shit. So then I thought, with that same sander, I'm just going to take it off again, then I might make it look relic. So I just didn't relic it, I just sanded some more of the white paint off and thought, that kind of looked cool. So, as you can see from the pictures, I put the bridge pickup with the nickel cover from the Red SG, my 3-pickup Red SG, which is a Gibson 498T, and I put a gold, this is the same gold pickup ring that's on it now, the way you can see in those pictures. But isn't that awful? Doesn't that just look horrendous? That's a sorry state. That's a guitar which is sat in the corner of your room crying, kill me now. You've put me through so much pain. Just please end it. Throw me off a balcony. Throw me in the Tyne River. Do something, but do not do anything more to me thinking you're clever by modifying me, whatever you think you're doing. The only good thing I did at the time was add the D tuner to go out and drop D and cut out the little route down there and go quite far in. So with the D tuner, I can still pull up like Nuno Bettencourt and it doesn't get stuck on the thing, but it doesn't get stuck on the wood, and I can still that good stuff. That's the only good thing to come out of this part of Faye's life. So she ended up looking in this sorry state for quite a long time. Best neck in the world though, but for a little while, and I was like, I miss the neck. I miss the way it feels. I miss the way it looks. I miss the way it's just the perfect ideal guitar, and it has been for years. So when I started doing more videos with PMT, I was like, I'm gonna put Faye in some videos. I'm gonna bring her in and do some. I think it was with Blackstar, my friend Steve from Blackstar, in that sorry state, and even on the camera. With the Gibson pickup, she's like, kill me, please, just put me out of my misery. So that's when I finally snapped, and I was like, you know what? This guitar is so important to me. It means so much, and has such an interesting history with me growing up in my late teenage years, my early 20s, and becoming a guitar player on YouTube. I need to make it great. So I tried. I was so embarrassed with my younger self for what I did to this guitar. When I started playing it more with the PMT videos and just at home and stuff, I literally fell in love with it, just like I did when I was a kid. In all those rehearsal rooms at college, all the stages, the music videos and stuff, and festivals, learning riffs in my room as a teenager, I fell in love with it, but I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do with a guitar to make it work. Did I put it back to black? There was an idea of me making a gold, like a gold top Kramer, but I'm glad I didn't do that because I would have fucked that up completely as well. But luckily, I was just about to go and see Extreme for the first time. You can tell where this is going. Nuno is the absolute man. Such an incredible guitar player, an incredible guy. I've interviewed him a couple of times and he's just absolutely wonderful inside and out. And the N4, the Washburn N4, is such an iconic guitar. Famously, not a lick of paint on it, just as natural and raw as guitars come. And he manages to make it scream in the most percussive, magical way. And I wanted an N4 so bad, but I couldn't afford an N4. As I looked down at this 30-year-old Kramer just begging for either death or a new life, it was time. So off came the pickups, off came the neck, off came the hardware, and then off came the paint. I'm not gonna lie, it was really cathartic and almost therapeutic making this guitar natural. Breaking it down to its bare bones. Everything I'd been through with this guitar, everything I'd put this guitar through was all coming off with sandpaper. I know it's just a guitar, I know it's just wood, but you know what as guitar players are like? We get weirdly attached to things, and I'm so emotionally invested in this guitar. It's unbelievable. So the paint came off, smelling all the tours, smelling all the gigs, smelling all the hours of practice on this very guitar. And I made sure it was perfect. Obviously it's not perfect now because I've played a lot on it and it's all haggard down there, but I made sure that it would look great. I got some wax and I wax sealed everything in to make sure it smelled great, played great and looked great. As good as it deserved, as good as Faye deserved. Went in was the original pickup, the original MJ Seymour Duncan JB. The injector went back in, the disconnected middle pickup. Gone was the toggle switch, three-way blade switch. I think I had a kill switch in as well, but I didn't like that, so I took that out later. And yeah, it was what it was, and what it was back to being fabulous. I was absolutely in love with what I created. The raw, visceral kind of workhorse that a guitar should be. The trip down memory lane was intense with taking everything apart and stuff, and I was falling back in love with this guitar again, and then I snapped the headstock off again. But this time, I snapped it off my friend, my friend Harrison. I was playing a gig with Guns to Roses. If you don't know who Guns to Roses are, they're Europe's biggest Guns N' Roses tribute band. They're bloody awesome. I know the guys really well, but Harrison is one of my best friends and has been for years. He's duff. And I was getting my Gilby Clark on at a sold-out show at NX in Newcastle. And I think he leant back like this, and I did like that kind of thing. And the tip of the headstock caught off his elbow and snapped it clean off, back where it snapped many times before. So just along the line there. It didn't snap off at the heel snapped off there. But because it's a Floyd Rose, the locker nut was still intact. So this was hanging down, swinging around the stage. Harrison was nursing a broken elbow, but the guitar was lovely in tune. So for the third or fourth time, stuck it back together. I didn't put any dowels or anything, I just stuck it back together. My little makeshift Kramer decal, after sanding the proper decal off the headstock, was in tatters. So I thought, this is the time to make it back to the way it used to be, with this big pyramid logo. I think it's called Prism logo, pyramid logo. So I found a place in America that did the proper one with the American on the bottom, just the way like it was from the factory. But I still managed to fuck it up. So when I put this on, it says Kramer American. It doesn't say American because I snapped the little water slide A off. So it says Kramer American. But that's good enough for me. It's as close as it was to when I bought it. And it's a fun little story to have American. 87 Pacer Custom II. And as all that was drying, because of the Nuno thing, I bought in mid-80s Bill Lawrence XL500, just like Nuno. And I installed it in reverse, just like Dimebag. It's one of the best sounding pickups on the entire planet. It's got a lovely kind of... the percussiveness and the mid-range poke it's got. Nothing sounds like an L500 or an XL500. Because it's in the reverse though, in the middle it sounds really squawky. So that's the neck pickup and the bridge pickup, with the bridge pickup's obviously reversed, like a Peter Green almost. I also took the kill switch out. At that time, one volume, like I say, 3-way switch. Headstock finally looking the way it did when I got it. That's the story of Faye. If it wasn't for Faye, I wouldn't know how to work on guitars at all. I failed way more with this guitar than I succeeded until the end. But the lessons I learned from failing has made me an incredibly competent luthier today. I'm not scared to touch people's guitars and modify them and to a much higher standard than I did when I was in my early 20s. But everything on this guitar has made me, I don't know, just aware of how guitars work, the internals, how badly it can go wrong, how rewarding it is when things go right. And all that is thanks to Faye. The latest mod actually was just after COVID. It's this little tremolo thing. So what this is that it replaces the claw, the tremolo. There's a little device with grub screws on, and you affix it to the block of the trem, and you tighten these little screws, and it stops the springs from moving back and forth, so you can block your trem off. So if you want to quickly go to drop D and you don't want to have to do loads of crazy stuff with it. But I'm not really feeling it. Like, the screws keep coming off when I'm playing, like unscrewing themselves, and they keep getting caught on my belt, well, the loops of my belt. So I don't know if that's going to stay, but for now, I'm happy. She seems happy. It's all good. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that was the life, the turbulent life, and the trials and tribulations of my 1987 Kramer Pacer Custom II, affectionately known as Faye. We've been through a lot, me and this old girl, so let's see if she's still got it. this again. You can do literally everything with it. So ladies and gents, let us know what you think about Faye. It's one hell of a story. I know there's crazy guitar stories out there like Jared James Nichols' Dorothy and stuff like that, but Faye's been through a lot, so I thought I'd share it with you. Comment down below what you think. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. You'll find me at Dagan and Wilkin on all social media platforms. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. What guitar do you want to see next?